What's up, Internet? Welcome to Once Over. I'm Kailey, and today we are going to be seeing how quickly we can get demonetized because we are giving the once over to Terrifier 2. There will be spoilers.
Give it a good once over.
Giving us the once over.
Giving him the once over.
Give me a once over.
Down to give us the once over.
For a routine once over.
Once over.
Oh, just once over lightly.
So you might be asking yourself, well, why are we talking about Terrifier 2 when you've never talked about Terrifier 1? The answer to that is simple. It's because I friggin' love Terrifier 2 and Terrifier 1. It was great, don't get me wrong, but 2 is where it's at. I'm very excited about 3 coming out soon, so we are gonna dive into 2 all day today. We're talking about Art the Clown. I have my lovely Art the Clown poster over here, which was gifted to me by Troy Smith of the amazing Choice Smith brand. I like that Art is just kind of staring at me. I feel like maybe I should be a little bit concerned. It's gonna be okay, right? He doesn't seem to be laughing too much, so we're doing okay. In short, I think that the second installment in the Terrifier series is more of a success than the first one because it at least has a little bit of a narrative. Now, I will be criticizing the shit out of that narrative because, in all honesty, the reason that we're here, the reason that we want Terrifier is because of the effects. We want the kills, we want the crazy times, and that's what Terrifier 2 gives us as well. Literal pouring salt in a wound? Come on! A very mild thing that I noticed that I think is a little bit different between the first one and the second one is that I feel like Art's nose gets a little pointier or like more rigid in this area in the second one. I could be totally imagining that. I feel like his makeup is just very slightly different. Seems a little bit more terrifying to me. I probably should never be talking about somebody's nose hook. You guys know I usually like to put a lot of clips in my reviews. I don't think I'm gonna be able to for this one because there is a lot of gore, a lot of violence, very little talking, at least from Art, but still the things that the YouTubes does not like. So because of that, I'm going to be releasing 2 versions of this review, one of which you can check out here right now. You're already doing that. Hello, hi, welcome, thank you. Subscribe, please, like, do the things, I don't know. But also you will be able to see a version that has more clips, more violence, more gore over on my Patreon. So definitely go check that out as well. Let's be honest. One of the things that makes Terrifier 2 a little bit better than the first one is the violence. There's some pretty creative shit up in here. It's kills. So let's get into actually what happens in this film and also the things that I liked about it and didn't like so very much. The movie starts out by not shying away at all. We get the coroner who is, you know, looking at Art because of the ending of the first film. He is crawling away, tries to call the cops, and Art, of course, comes, chases after him, and does some eyeball stuff. Tony, this one's for you. Everybody knows Tony from Hack the Movies loves eyeball stuff. Go talk eyeballs to him. We also get our first moment of humor from Art, which is when he puts that little eyeball right into his own head. I like that Art is a silent Marcel Marceau type who is full of humor and good times while he is getting into his murderous and torturous acts. I think it's fun. He's a great clown. An entertainer at heart. Also in the beginning of the movie, we get a brief little moment that I think is some pretty serious commentary on cops, which is that we hear a bunch of sirens, we see the cop cars drive by, none of them see Art, who has obviously just committed a murder. They don't care about him, they don't even notice him, instead they just drive right on by. Art is also carrying his little garbage bag of tricks with him at this point in the film. I love his garbage bag of tricks, but I cannot figure out his tricks are almost entirely pointy, sharp weapons. So why is it that the garbage bag does not break? Perhaps they need a sponsorship from Glad, because I would like to know what brand that garbage bag was so that I can buy that for all my shit. No, I'm not throwing out weapons, but yes, sometimes there's pokey stuff in there, and I don't want garbage juices dripping all over me. It's a magic garbage bag, I swear to God. After Art has committed his first act of violence, he obviously needs to clean his clown costume. I do like that they put this scene in. He goes to a laundry mat so that he can get clean. I think this is very cute because, again, his clown costume is white. So we really need to see how it's staying that beautiful crisp white. In the laundromat, we get to meet the new character from Terrifier 2, the pale little girl. I think that's what she's called. I'm gonna be honest with you, I always forget her name. Wait, does she have an actual name? She might have an actual name. I don't remember. We're gonna call her Pale Little Girl. She's Art Jr. She is piss and blood and also wants to play patty cake. There's another patron in the laundromat who wakes up and sees Art playing patty cakes by himself, so I guess the little pale girl is invisible, at least to some. She certainly is not later in the movie. Maybe some continuity issues. I don't think I care. Art being naked in this fucking sequence also, oh, goddamn beautiful, hilarious. Of course, and unsurprisingly, this sequence ends with Art killing the other patron with a broom handle. We don't get to see that kill, it's off screen. That's fine with me. I don't care so much about that. But what I do like is that we got 2 kills before the opening credits. The opening credits are also really fucking rad. Let's just talk about those for a second. We get that nice 80s, like old school sort of font, and then we get this beautiful drippy synthwave music. I'm relatively new to the genre of synthwave, but I love all of the music in this film. I really like Gunship. If you guys want to give me other suggestions of synthwave shit to check out, please do that in the comments down below. I need more music to listen to. After the opening credit sequence, we get introduced to Sienna and her younger brother Jonathan. Sienna is kind of a compulsive sort of girly. She's definitely popular. We get to see her making her Halloween costume, which she's putting a lot of effort into. And her younger brother Jonathan is very interested in serial killers, which Sienna thinks is a little bit weird. She expresses her concerns about that a couple of times. Jonathan even wants to dress up as Art the Clown, or the Miles County Clown, for Halloween, and Sienna's like, that's stupid, don't do that. People don't dress up as Dahmer for a reason. We're supposed to be having fun on this holiday, not making victims feel sad. Of course, now tons and tons of people dress up as Art the Clown for Halloween, but I guess that doesn't matter since he's not real. You're not real. He really looks like he's looking at me. Maybe it's like the Mona Lisa effect where his eyes just follow me wherever I go. Thanks, Troy, for haunting my nightmares. Oh, I almost completely forgot to mention, you might recognize Jonathan. In real life, he is Elliot Fuller, who had a YouTube channel when he was very young where he would interview famous metal musicians.
It's pretty cool.
It is very cool, Elliot.
You know, Metal Hammer reposted a bunch of those things. Now he seems to be doing mostly personal music promotion on his YouTube channel, but I do think that it's interesting that he went from YouTube to this. He probably did other shit, but I'm not aware of it. Sienna and Jonathan's father has passed away, and so a lot of the plot of this film actually revolves around their relationship with him and his drawings of Art the Clown. Their father's sketchbook actually also reveals quite a bit throughout the story of this film. Once we start looking at his sketches, we start realizing that Sienna and Jonathan might actually somehow be attached to Art. I think it's interesting that we're using art to connect art. You're right. That's definitely for sure intentional. I'm fine with there being a storyline. I think that there should be a storyline in a movie that is this long. The storyline's a little bit weak for me, but again, I'm here for art. And although there is a lot of amazing special effects work going on in this film, and much of the acting is actually pretty good, I will say that many of the actors don't really have the let's do a dramatic scene bone in their bodies.
It looks just like Daddy's character. You know? Draw almost as good as him now.
Is that Daddy's sketchbook? Please stop, you're making me feel a little self-conscious.
So Sienna falls asleep to the Clown Cafe song.
Food's a little funny at the Clown Cafe.
The food's a little funny in the Clown Cafe. Yeah, it's great. I like that song. I like that we're doing the kids stuff in this movie, but that scene is way too freaking long. It's too long. And I will have a similar criticism at the end of the movie as well. The Clown Cafe, because the wings that she has been working on for her Halloween costume light up in fire. So I guess my question is there a supernatural aspect of this? We're only like maybe 15-20 minutes into the movie at this point, and we've already had the little pale girl not being able to be seen and also dreams coming to life. I feel like maybe that's not well developed enough. I'm not asking this movie to be longer. I don't want it to be any longer, but a little disconnect for me. That doesn't totally work. However, much of this nightmare sequence does actually work. The nightmare itself is really fucking cool, even though it is too long. It degenerates further and further, and Art the Clown is giving everybody who is singing the song pieces of candy, and none of them are sharing the candy with a homeless person. So just like we had the cop commentary earlier about the cops kind of sucking, now we're saying maybe we should be giving to the homeless more. Everybody's being selfish and keeping their candy for themselves. The social commentary is a fun thing to do. A big part of horror movies is social commentary, so you gotta do it, and it doesn't bother me. It's just maybe, again, not well developed enough. Maybe focus on one issue at a time. I don't know. Next, we get a little head nod to Victoria from the first film. We get to see a news reporter interviewing her, and we get to see her very disfigured face.
I wish I was dead.
which is pretty rad. And we also find out that Victoria clearly goes crazy because after her news interview, she ends up ripping the face off the news reporter. Listen up, Vicky. Maybe don't do that. So she's gotta be in the third one, right? She's gonna be in the third one, and she's gonna be evil. She's gonna be under Art's spell. For sure. Jonathan, Sienna's younger brother, starts seeing Art the clown and the little pale girl around. He sees them playing with a dead possum. And again, this kind of makes everybody think that Jonathan's like a little bit too obsessed, maybe turning into a serial killer himself. He gets caught by a school official playing with that possum. And so obviously they think that, well, playing with, let's pause there for a second. Playing with is not the correct terminology. Art threw the possum at him and he caught it and then was disgusted. Whatever. Because he's caught with the possum and the literal blood on his hands, you know, everybody's thinking that he's the one who did it.
Your brother brought a dead animal to school this morning.
He's getting framed. So since the wings from Sienna's Halloween costume got burnt up because the dream came to life, she needs to go with her friend over to a Halloween store. And this is probably one of the two most infamous scenes in this film. Art the clown is obviously in the Halloween store and he is trying on lots of funny sunglasses. It's a good scene. And it's shockingly unsettling. When Sienna tries to go pay for her stuff, she realizes that she left her purse downstairs. Luckily, Art is there to help her and he returns her purse to her.
I think I left my bag downstairs.
The store employee does not seem to be bothered by this at all. If I was working at a store and some random dude brought up a chick's purse, I would be like, have you stolen things out of it? Don't do that, buddy. And Sienna is clearly uncomfortable during all of these interactions, which the store clerk doesn't give a fuck about. Sienna leaves the store, but Art does not, and unsurprisingly, the clerk gets got. We get a bottle smash over the head, an eye gouge, a hatchet to the head, and a full neck decapitation. I just like it. I like successfully done effects, and Damien cares so much about that shit. He is very, very renowned for taking a lot of control over those things. It's one way that he can keep his budgets down. So this movie was only made for $250,000. I want to say it made something like $10 million in the box office. He cares about these special effects. He wants them to be practical. There are very, very few digital effects here, and it is so worth it because every single one of these scenes is like, whoa! Now we're gonna get into the second most famous scene in this movie, and this is the scene that has made everybody disgusted by this one. That's right, it's the bedroom scene.
Danny, do you have something else to do?
We're going to be talking about Allie's demise. Allie is one of Sienna's friends, and obviously all of them are getting ready to go to this Halloween party. Art comes and trick-or-treats at Allie's house, but Allie's like, no candy for adults.
No candy for grown-ups. Come on.
Which does not leave Art that happy. He does eventually get his candy, but that does not mean that he doesn't want to play with Allie. So he breaks back into her house. He drinks a cup of water first, obviously, gotta stay hydrated. Chases her up into her bedroom, and then we get a face slash almost instantly. Art likes to literally play with his victims. He is not gonna kill her right off the bat. He wants to see how much she can take. This movie was actually filmed right before COVID-19, and just before COVID shutdowns were happening, they were almost done with the scene, but they hadn't finished it yet. So one of the advantages of COVID was actually that they paused filming and they rewrote the sequence a whole bunch of times, which resulted in one of the most brutal and amazing sequences that I have ever seen in my life. The first time that I watched this movie, I was literally sitting on my couch at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, what? What? Amazing! It was so exciting. That was a lovely wake up on whatever Sunday morning I'm sure that was. We can call it my church, I don't know. So after the somewhat mild face slash, we then get the scalping, which the camera does not shy away from any of this. You get to literally see heads getting pulled back, followed by an arm getting broken off. Who needs two of them anyway? We then get to hear some slashes happening, and off screen we hear Allie screaming and screaming and screaming. However, the screams eventually stop. So there's an implication that she's dead. She is not, because very soon after this, she starts dragging herself across the floor, missing an arm and a scalp. And this is when we get to my favorite part of the scene, which is Art pouring bleach and salt all over her wounds. He literally pours salt in her wounds. That's hilarious. Why does that not happen more frequently in horror movies? Oh my god, I friggin' love it. He literally is rubbing it in real good. He wants to make sure that salt is really stinging. You can feel it. Your like body tenses up when you're watching this shit because it's like, no, I don't want that to be happening. As if losing an arm and getting scalped weren't bad enough. Let's pour salt on those wounds. That whole sequence ends and eventually Allie's mom discovers her in the bed. Art's still playing with her body and she's whispering. I talked earlier about how I didn't necessarily think that the dramatic acting was these actors' strong suits, but I will say that that is an effective, evocative moment where I was like, oh, that's painful. Of course, it's followed by Allie's mom's scream, which is this. So Sienna goes to the party with her friend Brooke. Obviously, Allie is not there. They're a little bit concerned about the fact that they haven't heard from her, but they sure are not that concerned. Simultaneously, Jonathan keeps getting in more and more trouble with his mom. He was in trouble because of the possum incident, and now his mom yelled at him, and in what his mom assumes is an act of retaliation, she thinks that Jonathan has like shaving creamed all over her car and like made her car a mess. Mom's all pissed off about this. So while the mom is cleaning off the car, she starts wiping down the windows and discovers that Art is sitting in it. No hesitation whatsoever, no build up. She just gets her head shot off. Jonathan discovers Art serving dinner to his dead mother. I think the mashed potato sequence here is very funny. At least it was a soft food, I guess. Meanwhile, Sienna, Brooke, and Brooke's boyfriend have all been partying and doing a bunch of and going crazy at the party, letting loose. But Jonathan, or the little pale girl pretending to be Jonathan, lures them to an old carnival using a fake voice, or a fake Jonathan voice.
I'm at the old carnival. Eric and Sean left me here. I'm all alone.
I'm a little bit sad that she talked. I mean, I know that it's not her voice, like she's imitating Jonathan's voice, but I like the idea of Art and the little pale girl being silent. Maybe that's just me. Again, if Marcel Marceau could move an audience to tears without saying a word, why can't Art the clown and the little pale girl do the same damn thing? Now, the carnival sequence is where this movie kind of falls off for me. I mentioned earlier that I thought that the Clown Cafe song was too long. The end of this movie is too long. When they first arrive at the carnival, there are a couple of really cool things that happen. For example, Brooke and her boyfriend are hanging out in the car and Art comes and gets them. We get a just the tip reference before the boyfriend gets castrated. We get Brooke almost escaping before Art catches up with her and of course douses her in acid and hits her with one of those like bat things that has like, you know, all the spikes coming out of it and then pulls her heart out and bites it.
Where do you want these beef hearts?
On the floor.
It doesn't look very clean.
Just do your job, heart boy.
That's all cool. That's all fine and dandy for me. But the final act of Sienna actually confronting and fighting Art is not for me exactly. I do think that a final battle scene is needed, and I also think that it's really interesting that not only do we have Sienna as the final girl, but we also have Jonathan as the final boy. It's not too often that we get like a final couple or a final sibling pair in a movie, so I think that that is really, really neat. The only other movies that I can think of that really come to mind for me that do that are Fright Night. I know Chopping Mall does that. I was thinking Nope sort of does that, like a little bit, not entirely. Sort of Friday the 13th Part 7. There's like a lot of movies that sort of do it, but I really feel like the end of this movie is Sienna and Jonathan battling together, even though much of the battling is being done by Sienna. Something that does not work at all for me about these final sequences is the bisexual lighting. We're just gonna go ahead and make this clear right now. Pro-bisexuals, boo bisexual lighting. Bisexual lighting is like the blue and red, you know, like you get a little bit from one side and a little bit from the other. I don't mind a small amount of that in a film. I do mind when it is happening for 20 fucking minutes. We don't need to do that. I get that we're in a carnival. I get that it's like, you know, the lighting might be kind of weird in there, but Jesus Christ, give me a break. It's too much. It's too much for my eyes to visually deal with. Maybe here it was more of an homage to like the original 3D glasses, but whatever is going on, it's going on for way too long and my brain cannot process it, so the whole end of this movie just feels muddled up to me. Of course, the movie ends with Art being decapitated, but we all know he's probably gonna come back for more. We don't know exactly how yet, but he probably will. And we don't have to wait that long because he shows up in the post-credit scene. The post-credit scene is beautiful. We have Chris Jericho as a nurse. Vicky has been sent to a mental institution because, you know, she ate the face off that news reporter. And so the nurses are looking after her there. Victoria uses blood from her vajay to paint the walls, a la what Art has done in the past. And it turns out that she's preggers, but with Art's decapitated head, which she births. He's still alive. Little head nod to the camera. I guess it's not a head nod if the only thing you are is a head. So my question about Victoria, I guess, is did she go crazy because of what happened to her, or does she have Stockholm syndrome? Is she gonna be the main antagonist in Terrorizer 3? Hello, editing Kailey here. You might notice in these next couple of segments that I am saying Terrorizer instead of Terrifier. That's because I've been listening to the band Terrorizer a whole bunch lately. You should check them out. They rule. Please ignore my stupidity. Is the answer to that already known and I'm just not on the internet enough to know the answer to that? Oh, you guys are gonna tell me the answer to that, aren't you? No spoilers for Terrorizer 3, please. Regardless, it doesn't matter because that's a really fun end credit scene. So that's it. That's Terrorizer 2. Just a bloody good time. I love it. I think that this movie succeeded on so many levels. My only criticism, okay, I have two. Not amazing acting at all times. Lots of great acting. Not always the best thing in the whole wide world. But also more importantly, why did we make it so long? Why were those sequences that were so boring so long? Cut it a little bit shorter. I know that Damien got a lot of criticism for having no narrative in the first one. This one was narrative, which was good, but boring, which was bad. If those sequences had just been edited down a little bit, I think that this would have been really cool. I would argue, and I know that a lot of people say that they want a feature-length film to be at least 90 minutes because the audience needs to feel like they got their money's worth, but I would actually argue that cutting this down to about 80 minutes would probably make it a way better film, and nobody would feel gypped because we're all here for the same reason, and that is the horror. And that was here in spades. Nobody is going to be feeling like they did not get enough of crazy special effects, because you did. They poured salt in a wound. Amazing. So this one's a hard one for me to rate because I really want to take it down like a notch for the not great acting and also for the length, but I want to take it up like 2 notches because of the incredible gore. So I think I'm gonna give this a 7 thumbs up, even though it's far from a perfect movie. 7 out of 7 thumbs up. This movie rules. I highly recommend it. I cannot wait to see Terrorizer 3. I would love to know what you think about this one and ultra-violence movies in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait for the next one. Thanks, bye. Terrorizer rules.